again, I want to thank you everyone, a friend of the American China Society of Indiana, and spend particularly on the weekend, come to the university environment and truly appreciate. And not just come to this event, in particular for the support of this organization. And I do have a great report to you, and if you see the number of people participate tonight, it's about 20% increasing as compared to when we kicked off meeting a year ago. And during that time, I make a commitment that Japanese Indiana Society is after 20-some years, they have a member. It's about 228 members. And I told the audience that we need to make happen in 3 years, more than 200 membership. I will honestly report to you, end of this year, at this time, we have 125 members. So we believe next year, we should be able to reach 200. And hopefully next 2 years, we will expand our Gala double on this side. So you can see more people and meet more friends. And one thing is very important for all the friends here. And you see all the people sponsored here, and you can see the program. We would love you and encourage you to do business with them. It's very important we help each other to grow this organization. And you can see you're going to continue just an Indiana company. It's going to be continue bring the Chinese company to join with us. Another successful story, if you look in the program, the guest speakers throughout each month, our workshop, seminar, and you can see those people, it's a whole page. And the people come from China, come from Taiwan, come from other states, and even the people come from Singapore. So we try to draw as many as reputable people has experience and to helping us. One thing I do want to be shared with you, it's personal opinion, I like to invite a government official people. And I'm sorry because they talk a lot and probably do little. So I wanted to utilize a lot of our enterprise as an entrepreneur. They truly will help and they work hard to make that happen. And again, I don't against with the government official. If they want to come to share with their policy, strategy, more than welcome to invite them to here. So again, thank you very much for coming here to support us. And again, I'm the older people, so hopefully next year, this time, you don't see me anymore. Thank you.
Unfortunately, Governor Daniels was unable to be here this evening, so we'd like to show a brief video that he has prepared for you.
I have great memories of that. 9th of January a year ago when American China Society of Indiana got its launch, started this very important project. I'm really sorry that I can't be with you to celebrate this 1-year anniversary, but I do want to say how proud I am and excited for you I am at the great headway that's been made. I think we all know that the U.S.-China relationship is the single most important in the world today. Clearly is going to be the most important relationship for the success of both countries in the decades ahead and for the futures of our children. And so I just want to say how grateful all Hoosiers should be for the work of ACSI. It is important not just to our state, but literally to our entire nation. We build stronger cultural and economic ties and ties of friendship between these two countries. So congratulations on a great first year. Best of luck for a strong second year and all the great years to come.
We are extremely grateful to Governor Daniels and his staff for their support of ACSI. Good evening, everyone. I'm Jennifer Llewellyn, and I'm the new Executive Director of the American-China Society of Indiana. I'm honored to be your MC this evening. Unfortunately, I do not speak Chinese yet, so I'm going to pause up front. If I accidentally mispronounce anyone's name, I apologize. I promise I will get it right later. Jerry Yang was our opening musician and played the erhu, which is a traditional Chinese instrument. So let's hear for Jerry. Tonight's gala was primarily coordinated by several people who worked tirelessly to make it beautiful, elegant, and special. Carmen Hendrickson, Jenny Massey, Denisa Woods, and Alexa Amatuli, will you please stand? They're back there in the back. Thank you, ladies. It's absolutely gorgeous. This evening, we will highlight key events that occurred in the American-China Society of Indiana's first year of operation, and recognize a few important individuals who have gone above and beyond to help foster business relationships between Indiana and China. As we celebrate the Year of the Dragon and ACSI's first anniversary, we'd like to show you a year in review video to highlight our accomplishments to date in promoting China-Indiana connectivity.
The American-China Society of Indiana was founded on June 10, 2010, by a passionate group of individuals and Chinese business leaders who wished to promote two-way relationships between Indiana and China. On January 20th, 2011, a kickoff luncheon was held at the Indianapolis Skyline Club to introduce ACSI's mission, purpose, and services to the 200-plus audience. As an endorsement of ACSI, Governor Daniels and Mayor Ballard were also in attendance. Held on May 6th at Ivy Tech Community College, ACSI's Intern Matchmaker event served as an opportunity to link Chinese students with Indiana companies interested in doing business with China. 14 students were offered internships with participating companies for the summer, spring, and fall.
And it was suggested that this year we try and bring in an intern from China, or a Chinese intern, and we thought it was a great idea. And so we did charter with the association, and they found a very suitable candidate for us.
Originally, I was looking for someone to help market my business, Midwest Language Services. ACSI was terrific about advertising this event to a wide variety of students. So there were many interns who stopped by my booth to talk with me about the opportunities that I had. And there were not only Chinese students there, but there were American students.
The society can help Chinese students to looking for some opportunities. You know, we come in here, we live here only a few years. We don't really know like all the details about, you know, the companies here and all of those information. So the society can help the student to find the best match.
We did not just bring him in as a translator. He serves that purpose, obviously, and he has bridged a lot of communication gaps. But we integrated him into our business. We wanted him to understand what our business is and what we do and how our business relates to our vendors in China. And so he's not just a translator. He is also a partner with us, and he represents us very well.
I've never been to China. I don't know much about Chinese culture as much as I wish I did. So I think this will be a terrific opportunity to learn more about China and for me to share my culture.
Nearly 200 business leaders from over 100 enterprises in the 12 Zhejiang province cities attended the IEDC-sponsored Indiana Zhejiang Investment and Trade Symposium held on July 18, 2011 at the Indianapolis JW Marriott Hotel. Multiple ACSI members participated in the event, while staff and committee members actively contributed to the symposium via pre-event planning, organizing volunteers, and providing approximately 50 interpreters for the business matchmaker.
The governor received a high-end business delegation that was led by Party Secretary of the Zhejiang province. ACSI seems to have great connections with those business delegations, and they introduced them to us as members.
I think as ACSI have a huge space to serve as a bridge connect to both Indiana and China companies.
There are very few agencies or associations in the United States that will bring you this close to other business leaders, both in your area and then that have the bridge to China with the strength that ACSI does.
ACSI is a great organization to get involved in if you as a company wants to do business in China or wants to partner with Chinese companies who are investing in the US, because it's a great channel for you to get to know businesses that are interested in investing in this area.
The 500 million plus companies have the resources and the capabilities of developing their own programs. They can buy the knowledge. But you take your smaller mid-sized companies that want to deal with China, we need help. We don't have those resources. ACSI offers those resources very reasonably. And we wouldn't have this opportunity if there weren't organizations like ACSI.
ACSI has a lot of depth to the organization, and we'll be able to network and help build those relationships through the friends and associates that you create at ACSI.
I'm born and bred Hoosier. My knowledge of China and the customs and the manners is non-existent. ACSI is really helping me understand the cultural differences. So, as a Hoosier boy, I don't stumble and fall before I get started.
On August 10th, Rick Choate, Mike Bartol, and Frank Levison presented How to Protect Intellectual Property at the Chase Tower. Sponsored by ACSI member Bose, McKinney, and Evans, the event discussed protecting intellectual property from both a legal and relationship perspective.
It gave the opportunity for us to do a presentation, but also it allowed a sufficient amount of time to answer specific questions that companies might have concerning protecting their IP and strategies for protecting their IP in China.
Andy Ording, CEO of Business Builder Incorporated, offered insights on how to use pricing strategy to compete with Chinese companies at the November 17th educational seminar, sponsored by ACSI member Bosma Enterprises and held at the Sheraton Keystone at the Crossing.
You've got to have pricing integrity. So if you have pricing integrity in your European market and American market, then you can carry that through the Chinese market. ACSI is extremely important because you have to help companies that have not done, let's say you haven't done any business anywhere in Asia, so you have no awareness really of the Asian way of doing business. So the ACSI brings that knowledge to the table.
Starting in October of 2011, Bingham Greenbaum Dahl hosted ACSI's Chinese Business Proficiency Series to educate and prepare businesses and community leaders.
We created the Chinese Business Proficiency Series in order to ensure that our members were proficient in business with China, as it is a different culture altogether from some of the cultures that we've dealt with here in Indiana. Well, we are offering 6 different sessions in the series so that we can lay the foundation and beginning, culminating in hopefully some expertise in dealing with business in China.
This organization will be very active and helpful to in the business community and to local businesses.
The role of ACSI is extremely important in equipping companies in the United States, particularly in Indiana, so that we can be well-versed and well-prepared and do business the way your Chinese partners expect you to do it.
State agencies do government business, universities do education, language and culture centers do language and culture centers, but ACSI does China.
Business professional, we appreciate your help for the past 1 year. This is an anniversary for this organization. We thank you for your support, and volunteer service. We believe this new coming year, and as you know, this is the year of dragon, and we are more excited to continue the progressive of this organization. Hopefully you can continue to helping us and grow this organization to help the Chinese and Indiana's businessmen to grow the relationship between the China and Indiana. Thank you very much.
We greatly appreciate members sharing their experiences with ACSI in our video, especially those of you in attendance tonight, and I've had the privilege of meeting a few of you thus far. Give yourselves a hand. Before dinner is served, I'd like to welcome Cyril Liu of Telemon Corporation to offer our invocation. During the meal, please silence your cell phones. There is wine being served at the tables. Beer will be available in the back. And we encourage you to get to know one another better and to share how ACSI has impacted your thoughts, opinions, and perhaps even your business relationships. So please welcome Cyril Liu for the invocation this evening.
I'm told by Carmen to do a bilingual. First Chinese and then English. That is about it. 至高无上的神，我们承认你是生命的赐予者，因为我们的生活、动作、存留都在乎你。我们承认你是我们所享受的一切丰富和祝福的源头。我们为着今天这样一个特别的机会，来庆祝印州美中商会成立1周年，来感谢。我们为了这个机构的意向和使命来感谢。为了帮助促进美中两国之间，特别是印州与中国之间彼此的经济发展和利益来感谢。我们也为了在过去1年中为印州美中商会慷慨地付出他们的时间和精力的义工们献上感谢，求你祝福他们和他们的家人。我们祈求你继续地祝福这个机构以及他的领袖，努力达到他们在上帝所给予的最大的潜力，在未来创造更多的商机，从而使这2个伟大的民族的人民得益。愿你赐下聪明智慧和引导，帮助印州美中商会在未来的日子里继续成为改变的触动者，不仅在经济发展上，更是在人民的生命里成为积极的动力和影响，以至于让印州美中商会能成为2个社会、人民和商业的祝福。我们这样的祷告是奉着超乎万民之名的名，阿门。God Almighty, we come to acknowledge the fact that you are the giver of life, because in you we live, move, and have our being. We come to acknowledge the fact that you are the origin of all abundance and blessings of our lives that we enjoy. We thank you for this special occasion you have privileged us for the celebration of the first anniversary of the America-China Society of Indiana, ACSI. We are thankful for the vision and mission of this organization to help promote mutual economic development and benefits between the U.S. and China in general, and the state of Indiana and China in particular. We also give you thanks for all the volunteers who have given their time and effort generously to ACSI during this past year, and we ask for your blessings upon them and their families. It is our prayer that you will continue to bless this organization and its leadership in their endeavor to reach its full God-given potential in the creation of greater business opportunities that will benefit the people of both great nations in the future. May you grant wisdom and guidance to help ACSI in the days and years ahead to continue to be a catalyst for change and positive energy and impact, not only in economic development, but also in people's lives, so that ACSI might be a blessing to the people and businesses of both societies for the better. We pray all this in the name that is above every name. Amen.
our first guest speaker, Mr. Li Du, President of Nanshan, America.
He said, producing is never used. And I know that it's true, especially after I had a couple of drinks. Today, I want to ask 3 questions in my speech. Basically, it's who is Nanshan? What we're doing right now in Lafayette, Indiana, and share some experience as a Chinese company make investment in the U.S. So my first topic is who we are. Nanshan is not a state-owned company. We're not a state-owned company in China. We're among the top 150 largest companies in China. We started the business 30 years ago, and right now we have over $20 billion US size assets in pretty diversified different business. Our core business is aluminum. We're invited in Lafayette. Our aluminum business is fully integrated. We own both sides in Australia. We ship the raw materials in China. We own power plant. We do aluminum. We cast it, billion. We go all to the downstream. So one of the type of products I'm going to introduce is aluminum extrusion, we're going to do it in Lafayette. And majority part of other products right now we bring in or export to the U.S. is those very big aluminum sheet. And we use that, our customer in the U.S. actually use that to make the can for Budweiser, Coca-Cola, Pepsi. So basically, everybody here are customers. So aluminum is our core business. We also very large in the real estate. We're very large in the golf course. We own 319 holes in our headquarters area, Shandong. We also have other golf course in overseas, like Australia, Sydney. So I heard we had an announcement on the news that Indy 500 is going to be in China in this August. My friend Tony is sent here today. That is another very big deal between Indiana and Shandong. Qingdao, we're located in the same province. And Nanshan do a lot of very big real estate, conference center, beach view house, golf course. We'll do something, we're going to do something with them. So we also own a Nanshan University and 40,000 students. Our employees in the industrial side over 40,000. So back to the second question is what we do in Lafayette. Although we have a lot of investments and different offices in this country, we have office on Fifth Avenue, New York City, and we have a brand new warehouse in Los Angeles. We just bought a headquarters building in Chicago, being charged for the business in the American region, North America and South America. But Lafayette plant is the first big investment for a manufacturing plant in this country. Last year in February, we announced that. Before that, we negotiated the incentive package with state government and city government last year. We are putting it here today as well. We've been very conservative because we important. You got to be conservative. Want to get those incentives, you got to be conservative on the number you want to put. Otherwise, you're going to reach, you're going to get it. So at that time, we've been very conservative. The number is $98 billion for this investment plan. So far, for now, the contract have been signed for this facility in Lafayette is over $140 million already. Phase one, that's another good success. So, Tony, I don't know what I'm thinking right now. I'm thinking we negotiate with you about the incentive package. Just kidding. So this plant in a process which is very quick. And local people, a lot of people are getting used for Nanshan speed, for Chinese speed. In last February, we announced the project. In May, we actually broke the ground. For now, 600,000 square foot facility has been completed. We will run the first product line July this year. So for that side of the investment, it's a very amazing speed. It definitely is not just a national speed, it's a lot of speed. And we will be very proud, and I believe people from Indiana will be very proud of what kind of product we can do in this facility. It is still too early to disclose some details, but I hope in July we can disclose something when we open the facility. We're negotiating and winning some very big contracts, and those contracts are among those very strategic projects in this country. So we can do that later. But the third point is I want to share some experience why we can be so quick in a short period, and why we actually raised a lot of more investment, much more than above $98 million. Because the business circumstances here are so friendly, and there are a lot of analysis, report, analysis, research. We keep upgrading our equipment. We're bringing none of our equipment are actually from China. Either from Europe, Germany, Italy, or from the US, Canada. Compared with current industrial level, our efficiency will be 30% and 50% more efficient, and save 15% or 20% energy. A good case is we're on the way to get our air permit very quick. That's the license for the pollution we can put in the air. We're so respect the regulation here in this country. So we actually bring the best technology from Europe. It's the first time to use this kind of technology in a casting house in this industry. And we can control the air pollution level less than 1% than this industry level in this country. And because of that, because our emission is so clean, it's the first time for a casting house can be put into a category it's called minor emission effect, and which allow us actually to build the facility, build the casting house facility part before we actually get it. It's a very big deal. It's a lot of foreign companies, especially for the Chinese companies, face a big problem in this process. Normally it takes 18 months to get that emission permit. And we only take 8 months to get it. So thank you. We've been very happy, and as I said during the February announcement, we feel here as a home. We don't feel we're strangers. We feel very comfortable. I hope when you visit China, you feel the same way in this airport. We're very proud to have our home here It's a very Chinese investment model. I believe this will be a very successful example that it's a Chinese investment. It's an American company. India has a lot of big corporations doing business in China. When you go there, like comments, I think they definitely know that you got to be localized. You got to fit yourself into the local culture, business, services. When we do the same thing, invest here, that's the same logic we have. So it's a Chinese investment, but it's a typical American company. We bring all the best people from the whole world. And my 20 core members right now, among the 20 members right now, 18 of them are American. In the future, next year, we have 150 or 200 employees. Over 95% of the employees will be local American people. And we are very proud of that. So I think this project to Nanshan is a big first step. It won't be the next, it won't be the last investment we made in this country. So it's critical to think about an even big investment. We can see a lot of Chinese companies come here to do the same thing. Indiana definitely is a very, very ideal position to attract those investments. Its location in the center, it's low labor cost, low utility fee, and very friendly business. So Governor Daniel is not here today, but I appreciate last year you lowered the tax from 8%, 8.5% to 6.5%. Another news is we have a right to work state, and also to attract more Chinese investments. We're now in an EV time zone. So Nanshan is willing to do everything we can help. We help the community, help Indiana State, not only to bring more jobs, bring new technology, but also attract more business. Thank you very much.
And Nanshan America is one of our newest member companies as well, so we greatly appreciate your involvement and are looking forward to working with you going forward. Thank you, Mr. Dew, for being here with us this evening and for choosing Indiana as a location for Nanshan America. Please continue to enjoy your dinners. We will start with our second guest speaker in just a little bit. is Mr. Matt Johnston, Principal at 3K Strategies. About this wonderful organization, so from my heart, I'm so thankful to call him my friend. He has made Indiana his home for over 10 years. Not a native of Indiana, we're happy to adopt him as a Hoosier now. With one foot planted solidly in America and the other in China, Mr. Johnston has successfully worked between the countries for the past 25 years. He recently founded his company, 3K Strategy.
When I was asked to speak and told, explain your journey to China, as an American going to China, explain that journey and that transition. And it's a bit daunting. We were just talking at the table that when you're talking about a country with 3,000 years of culture, 56 different ethnic groups and growing, it's a bit daunting in 15 minutes, but I'm going to do my best. So let me begin by telling you, when I first came in contact with China, it was in 1987. I had a company up in Michigan. We were making computer disk drive cards, and a group from Fudan University was visiting the United States, and particularly visiting the University of Michigan, and came over and we were able to meet, and it was very awkward. Bright, brilliant young students was good enough, but very little. I of course spoke none of the language. They spoke very little. We took them out for pizza at Pizza Hut, which was a big hit. I'm not sure if I can take the credit for all the Pizza Huts in China now, but maybe I can take credit for that. I'm not sure. So a couple years later, my company was basically confronted with a problem. The principals at Hewlett-Packard, Digital Equipment, IBM, which were all our customers at that time, came to us and said, we really appreciate your business and all you've done for us, but if you don't develop a strategy for Asia and it starts to supply over there, you're going to be cut off our supply list. This was also coincidentally over a pizza lunch. So pizza and I and business have an interesting tie as it relates to China. But I had to get on a plane and go over there and figure out what we were going to do. There was a lot of companies lobbying us for. Singapore was quite popular. Malaysia was trying to emerge. Bangkok was after companies in the space. But I saw the future potential of China and made the decision to move my company there. We did that in 1990. I went with it and began living over there while my wife, my beautiful wife sitting over here, and my two young children, well, at that time one young child, stayed back here. And as an American, getting off that, well, if everybody, and there's probably many in this room that flew into the old Hong Kong airport, that was always an experience as well. But, from my first experience to my last experience in China, which was Wednesday, most Americans have no idea of the culture and the loving nature of that country and how much they appreciate us, and we should be appreciating them. So I won't go into a lot of that detail other than, I was in China back in the years when there weren't highways yet quite like we know them today. There weren't many of the amenities that are there today. It continues to change week in and week out as time goes on. Our company then, we began working over there in our first year. We started with about 3,000 workers, a fairly small company. As Jun will tell you, as you've heard, most companies in China, large successful companies, do very well. Today that enterprise, it's now part of the TDK family, but today that enterprise employs about 60,000 workers on one campus in South China. So it's a very different world today than it was back then. When you look at the more contemporary, last week I was at one of the new state-of-the-art life science complexes, and it's just amazing to me how much advancement there's been in this area. State-of-the-art buildings, the older dormitories as they were, which was where the employees usually lived there in the campuses of these large companies. And those conditions were okay to their standards, probably. To all of your standards, you would have maybe taken issue, but today it's quite a different world, and they're coming along and advancing very quickly on how they build companies. There are some things that haven't changed. As I walk through many factories, I was in a factory in Anhui province, and I'm still amazed as you look around and you look at the traditional assembly factory or something like that. They're all maybe 18, 19-year-old to 25-year-old girls. Way back when we had the computer industry boom in South China, they would come from all over China. They would come south and live and work in these factories for a pittance. Salaries back then were about 157 US dollars a year. So and they would send about 90% of that money back home to those remote villages, and they would live and work in those factories. We always used to joke that Spring Festival, aka China New Year, as some people call it, everybody would go home, and they would value those jobs. That $157 meant a lot to that family. So much so that as the older daughters would go home and maybe marry, maybe if there was another younger daughter, she would show up to take the job, or a neighbor in the village, or somebody else was going to show up and claim that job. I didn't learn this right away until one day, totally by accident, I walked in and said good morning and was talking to a couple of girls and walked on, and I heard them giggling and laughing, and I was like, I didn't quite understand it. My assistant later told me that two of the girls that I was reminiscing with about what had happened a few weeks earlier weren't even the same two girls that were there. They had come to take the other one's jobs. So, you know, when you look at how they embrace the value of work and the value of that job, it's truly amazing. Typically we think about China and its horrific conditions, which is not true today especially, and all the job loss. And it really isn't it, and I'll come back to that in a moment, but you know, until you've been over there and experienced the culture and experienced the people and how it has changed their lives, you don't have an appreciation for what's going on in China and the growth. And it's, you know, I say it, a lot of people have heard me say this before, it's boom time in China. It's a great place to be. It's a great place to be doing business. It's just a very vibrant, exciting culture. That same $157 a year salary, today, in 2011 money, they were making the average salary is about $4,500 a year. So we still sit here and say, that's it, only $4,500. But I will point out that in roughly a 22-year period, that's a 28x increase in income. So anybody that would like to give me a raise of 28x, I'm available after I get done speaking. But they've done marvelous and wonderful things over there, and I can't say enough about the work ethic. When we look at the Chinese culture itself and some of the explosive growth, I have a few other slides if you guys could put some stuff in. I think you guys will all find this quite interesting when, as a visual aid to what exactly does that mean. So this is Shanghai. This is a famous part or view. Oops, go back one. You just blew my joke. Too fast. Too fast. Shanghai, 1999. So you can see where this is going. Okay? So Shanghai in 1999 and Shanghai 2011. That stark change. I mean, our landscape here in Indiana has certainly changed. It's certainly changed in the 10 years I've been here, but it maybe hasn't changed as dramatic as you see over there. The other ones, if you go to the next slide, The one that I find the most amazing is the Shanghai. If you look at the Shanghai subway system, one more slide. This is the Shanghai subway system in 1999. Give it another one. This is the Shanghai subway system today. One more. This is the Shanghai subway system in 8 years. So, you know, when we talk about change and growth, and we talk about that around other Chinese business people, maybe a little contrast will help as far as what we call growth and what they call growth. So, you know, that maybe brings a little bit of that to light. A few other fun facts for you all. In 2011, Mercedes sales doubled. They sold twice as many cars, Mercedes, in China in 2011 as they did in 2010. Housing prices, I just read in the South China Post the other day before I came back, housing prices were starting to slow down. And they've actually come down a little bit. But they're $136 a square foot. So I'm not quite sure, I'm not an economist, maybe there's an economist in the room, but at $4,500 a year and a home that's $136 a square foot, when people wonder why are the homes so small, I think you'll have a new lesson in supply and demand and economics there. There are more than 1 million people in China today with a net worth greater than $10 million. There are 100,000 people in China today with a net worth of greater than 100 million. At last count, something like 7 new millionaires every week. So their Chinese economy, and as it serves the world, and these companies begin to globalize, it's changing the landscape in that country dramatically, day by day. And needless to say, some of the most successful people in the world are coming out of China, as we saw from Li Jun tonight in his story about their wonderful company. I commend him for being a pioneer in the decision to come to the United States and, more importantly, come to our state. I'm often quoted as saying that I've been in China for almost 25 years and I have yet to meet a communist. Hopefully you have an appreciation for why I have that opinion now. Let's talk just a little bit, you know, about manufacturing and international. I think a lot of our focus often is on how do we get Chinese companies to come to Indiana. And in my business, that certainly is a big part of my business. But the more forward companies, much like Nanshan and Li Jun and the decisions that those guys have made, I'm going to encourage the Indiana-based business leaders in the room to be thinking about your China strategy. Because if you're a manufacturer today and you don't have a strategy with regards to the China market, you don't have a strategy at all, in my opinion. So, and it isn't just about bringing Chinese companies to Indiana, although that's a wonderful thing and certainly is the focus of a lot of our discussions tonight. But our visionary chairman, Albert Chen, has got a very big appetite for China business and collaboration with the state of Indiana. And I would encourage you, Indiana-based companies, to start thinking about the market opportunities that could exist for your companies in China as another means over there. Another interesting fact for you all, I flew back on Tuesday night with one of the vice presidents from Subway. And we were talking, and he had been over there, and there's 365 subways in China now, mostly in the major metropolitan areas. Their goal as a company is to increase that number by 2015, which is only 3 short years away, to over 4,000 stores in China. So, you know, there are many, many, many industries taking advantage of the growth and the overall globalization that's taking place between the U.S. and China, and I would encourage you to look at that from that angle as well. I'm often quoted as a big fan of Confucius, and one of my favorites is the quote for ignorance is the nighttime of the mind, but it's a night without a moon and no stars. So it's all about vision and globalization as we look forward to what's happening. Let's talk a little bit about the culture. As I said earlier, you're not going to get it all in 15 minutes. 3,000 years of culture is not going to be compressed. And it certainly is quite interesting against our 236 years. But there are 56 ethnic groups in China today, over 70 dialects, variations. If you have Chinese nationals sitting amongst you, it's a great discussion for them. I'm always enjoying when they can almost pinpoint the city of the state where you're at when in China. We, of course, have a hard time, you know, we're still fiddling around with our chopsticks and they're analyzing the cities that people can come from the way they speak, but it's always an interesting one as well. I encourage people to, you know, to very much understand the culture. I think it's the key to business. It's the key to business success, I can assure you that. Another famous Confucius one on this topic is one that I hear a lot, is wheresoever you go or do with all your heart. And there's a fair amount of Christians in the room tonight, I imagine, as well. And there are many Christian Chinese nationals here amongst us tonight as well. And I always draw the parallel, and I had a wonderful discussion with a good friend of mine in China last week about all the parallelisms. But if you go and look a lot, go home tonight and open your Bibles to Colossians 3:23. I'll give you the short version. And whatever you do, do your work heartily for the Lord rather than for men. So when we think about culture clashes and the effect of Confucianism on the national scope in China, there are so many parallels to our cultures that people don't appreciate that. So another interesting fact for you there, that 80% of the Chinese community is less than 35 years old. So they're a much younger crowd. They're a much younger crowd than us. We're having our baby boomers. There's slides on this, you can see the humps, but they're vibrant learners and globalizing thinkers. So, you know, keep that in mind as you look for your cultural aspects going forward. They're extremely family-oriented, as you see this evening, you know, with the wonderful dances tonight and the children. It's a huge mainstay of the culture, something we lack quite a bit of, I think, in our country. When you look at the people, the natural tendency of the people, a lot of times business misleads community on that one, I think, because Chinese aren't naturally as aggressive as you may think. They're more naturally humble, modest people that are very caring and very giving people. So there's a word that we use in business when we develop those relationships called guanxi. It's almost overused now. It's an overused term that's being passed around in international business schools. I take offense to that. Guanxi is something that you build, not something that you teach. But I would encourage you again that there are some very complex parts of the culture that are easily overlooked. Another Confucianism for you guys: forget the injuries, but never forget the kindness that follows. You know, one of the problems that we see quite often is, you know, there are a great growing number of Chinese nationals that are coming here in universities. I've heard people before, they say, why are they all coming here to go to university? Well, there's really two reasons. One, they respect our educational system. We're sitting in the middle of one of the wonderful educational institutes of Indianapolis just this evening. But the other one is, as their society is growing and you have this, you know, incredible population moving through there, some of the best universities in China are becoming too difficult or not accessible to most because their growth is so aggressive. There are many programs that are encouraging that. There's an emerging company out of the Valparaiso area that's going to speak to this point very soon in a business plan that I'm sure you'll be reading a lot about. A very forward-looking pioneer that's moving in this direction. So, you know, one more Confucianism for you. Learning without thought is labor lost. Though without learning is perilous. You know, some of the earlier adopters of globalization, Lejeune tonight is a perfect example. As the world globalizes, the United States and China sit at the precipice of something very remarkable. These two countries and how we work together over the next 5 to 10 years is going to reshape how the world as we know it and the globe as we know it develops over the next century. Visionaries, particularly visionaries like Albert Chen, and why the passion for some association like this. I can very humbly and with all due respect speak for Albert and say that it's about a lot more for people like Albert than it is about dinner parties. You know, it's more about what we do together and what we do together with these two cultures. So in closing, I would just encourage everybody to embrace globalization, embrace the relationships, embrace the culture between the countries. You know, it's not cheap labor in China anymore. It's not about, you know, low cost and cost savings and cost reduction. It's about the market dynamics and what changes the globe of business as we go forward. You know, as you saw me quoted in the video, I say this quite often, that government is very good at government affairs. Universities are very good at education. Cultural centers are important, a very important part of this, and to make sure that people understand different cultures. But entities like ACSI exist to open the markets for Chinese companies coming to the U.S. and U.S. companies going to China. So utilize this organization and spread the word for us. We greatly appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson, for your efforts and for your active participation with ACSI. Please welcome Denise Woods, Jenny Massey, and Mr. Albert Chen to the stage. Denise and Jenny both played integral parts in bringing you this beautiful event. The three of them will present the awards honoring individuals who have contributed to establishing positive relationships between Indiana and China.
We are very excited to present this evening a couple of awards. The first one is Friend of China Award. The Friend of China Award recognizes an individual for his or her friendship, participation and commitment to excellence of promoting their connections in China with Indiana to increase business, trade, and investment opportunities. Nominees are, I feel like this is like the, you know, I'm not really this good and polished, but this is exciting. I kind of get thrilled. The nominees are Martha Avery, President of Avery Press; Stephen Farrow, CPC Career Solutions Group, Inc.; Ting Gu T, Vice President of Investments, Elevate Ventures; Stephen Robinson, Walenti and Young; and Joe Shu, Director of Confucius Institute of Indianapolis. And this year's Friend of China Award goes to Martha Avery. Martha, will you please come up and accept your award? Martha Avery is president of Avery Press, Inc., which works with CITIC Press in bringing Chinese intellectual property to a Western market and brings Western authors and their works to China. Ms. Avery holds a bachelor's degree in Chinese and Japanese languages and an MBA from the Wharton School. She has worked for many years in publishing and related media business in Japan, Hong Kong, and Mongolia. Ms. Avery is also co-editor-in-chief of a forthcoming volume on Chinese baking and finance published by John Wiley & Sons. Congratulations, Ms. Avery. Our second award this evening is titled Friend of Indiana Business Award. The Entrepreneurial Business Award acknowledges a business that is currently doing business with China in China, or is a Chinese company that positively impacts America-China connectivity. Nominees are Buchanan Group, Language Training Center, 3K Strategies, the Heritage Group. And this year's Entrepreneurial Business Award goes to 3K Strategies. Matt Johnston, will you please join me on the stage? 3K was derived from Imperial Chinese history and refers to the merging empires of kingdoms of the period. Much like 3K is endeavoring to facilitate merging Chinese and American business cultures today. Matt Johnston, principal of 3K Strategies, has spent over half of his life doing business with China, and in the process has learned much about the culture, developed strong relationships, and shown tremendous leadership. Mr. Johnston generously given his time and talents to ACSI in the Indiana business community and broadened our horizons with his culture and knowledge and experience. 3K businesses cultural, business, and personal relationship development, teamwork, and communication. Benefits Mr. Johnston brings to his clients include increased business opportunities, better chance of selection by a Chinese partner or joint venture, and enhanced leadership and management of Indiana business opportunities. Thank you, Matt, for all that you do. We appreciate your assistance and support. Our next award is titled Friend of Indiana Culture Award. The Friend of Indiana Culture Award recognizes an individual for his or her friendship, participation, and commitment to excellence of promoting the Chinese experience with Indiana natives in order to create culture and community awareness. The Indianapolis Chinese Community Center, Inc. was established in 1955 by a group of immigrants' families. Today, it is the largest Chinese organization in the state of Indiana. As board president, Renhua Li oversees ICCCI's Chinese school, choirs, dragon and lion dances, football team, and Thai teams. He also ensures ICCI's active participation in events such as the Indy 500, Super Bowl, and the Indy Chinese Festival, while hosting delegations from China and serving from the Zhejiang Delegation Event Planning Committee. Under Renhua's leadership, ICCCI has become the most effective organization to translate the Chinese culture, its languages, and its people to native Indiana residents. For this award, we recognize him as the Friend of China Culture Award. Renhua, will you please join us on the stage? last award, last but not least, Friend of Indiana Education Award. Our final award, the Friend of Indiana Education Award, recognizes an individual for their friendship, participation, and commitment to emphasizing the importance of educating Indiana natives on the Chinese language and culture. The Asian Learning Center of Indiana housed and aimed at educating, connecting, and engaging Hoosiers about the history, cultures, and emerging business opportunities of Asia. As its director, Wei-Lin Long has made tremendous progress in developing partnerships with public, private, community, and business resources to develop and implement a pilot program for Chinese language instruction in 18 schools, develop an Asian studies curriculum for K through 12 schools, and establish a community outreach program. With Wei-Lin's determination, community support, she hopes to achieve the Asian Learning Center's long-term goal of creating an Asian cultural museum in Indiana. It is for these efforts that we are pleased to present Wei-Lin Long with the Friend of China Education Award. Please join us, Wei-Lin, on the stage. Let's give another big round of applause to our audience, our nominees and winners.
Tonight's gala became reality thanks to organizations that believe in our mission enough to financially sponsor us. As I read the names, please stand if you're affiliated. Will Carmen, Denisa, and Jenny all join me? Oh, they're already here. Okay. I guess I should pay more attention. Okay. Gold, red, and blue dragon sponsors will receive a token of our gratitude for their generosity to be presented by the Gala committee members. As I said before, if you are with one of the companies mentioned, would a representative please stand and we will deliver the awards to your table. Gold sponsors are LHP Software, Telemon Corporation, red sponsors, Tobias Insurance, Nanchan America, and Regents, who could not be here with us this evening. Blue sponsors, Greater Lafayette Commerce, Indiana Economic Development Corporation, Johnson Melo Solutions, Brightpoint and Annixter were unable to join us this evening. Please give one more big round of applause to all the organizations that support. Thank you. note underneath your little dragon statues, which are for you to take home with you this evening, one of the dragons has a red dot in the bottom right-hand corner. If you have that red dot, you are welcome to take the centerpiece, the floral arrangement, home with you this evening. If you do not want to take the floral arrangement, I'm sure that someone at your table would be delighted to take that off your hands. As we conclude tonight's program, I'd like to welcome ACSI Vice Chairman. I'd like to welcome ACSI Vice Chairman Ryan Ho to the stage.
My name is Ryan Ho. For those people who don't know me, I'm actually carrying back Albert Chen all the time. So, Albert is my, like I always tell people, Albert is my role model. I still remember last year, about this time, we have a couple of Chinese, like me, business people approaching Albert. Says, Albert, I think Indiana is very right for set up of kind of like a Chamber of Commerce type of organization. And Albert has no hesitation. Immediately says he will sponsor then right now it's ACSI. So I'd like to invite everybody, give a round of hands for Albert Chen. Thank you. Actually, I'm representing Columbus, Indiana. Our mayor, new mayor, Kristen Brown, actually just recently appointed me as a deputy mayor of Columbus. But as you know, Columbus is very aggressive with China. In the past, almost, I would say, 7 years. Then 2004, we went back. Beijing has 5 railroads. Then our team said, we come here too late. So from that time, Columbus as a community, we really opened our arms for Chinese, not just investment, not just business. So on the government level, I just give you briefly about what we did. On the government level, we have 2 sister cities and 5 friendship cities. With China right now. On the cultural level, we have built up a lot of relationships. Ivy Tech Community College right now is a sister school with Wuxi Professional College with Wuxi. And also on the business level, we have 3 Chinese investments in Columbus, Indiana. But we're not stopped there. We're still doing a lot of strategy thinking. Not just China, right? So we do a lot of things with international investment. Columbus has 17 Japanese companies invest in Columbus. So we're not just just looking for China, but in the future maybe India. So we do a lot of strategy planning too. So in the future we also planning for Columbus area and also southeastern of Indiana. We are planning for another investment immigration center. Probably will be formalized by end of this year. So ACSI, as I mentioned to you, very important for every community, every economic development organization to join us. And I also encourage everybody here to be able to, just like Columbus as a small community, but we do a lot of big things for American mid-sized cities. So again, this is just Columbus, right? Columbus cannot do this by ourselves. So we like to see if we can use ACSI as a platform to help, not just on the business level, also government level and the educational level. So it's very exciting for this organization. This is just the first year, and we'll really accomplish a lot of things. We have a lot of seminars, and we'll have a lot of just like a Gala event. And I know our staff is also planning for another trip to China. So I'd like to invite you guys, not just step on the sideline, but also actively involved with our board, with our operation. So thank you very much, and hope you have a good night. Thank you.
Thank you, Ryan. That concludes our program for this evening. Please have a wonderful evening, drive safely, and we look forward to having you back again next year.